Tristan, Cameron McCormick, welcome to Dallas, Texas. Welcome to Trinity Forest. We've got a wonderful playground for our session today.
Thank you, sir. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's a pleasure to meet you.
We are doing our index experiment as part of the Broken Tee Society. And with that, I want to make dreams come true. And in order to make dreams come true, I need to understand at great depth the strengths and weaknesses in your golf game. And that'll be the front end of the question. And the second part of that question is going to be a follow-up conversation relative to if I had a magic wand and I was able to bring, what wishes would I make come true for you? So let's start with the strengths and weaknesses.
Sure, absolutely. I don't know how much time you have, but I'll get right into it.
We got plenty of time.
So some of the weaknesses right now that I'm noticing off the tee, I'm not getting in the fairway very often. My miss typically is a high left miss. And then I've developed kind of a snappy hook recently also that's kind of come out of nowhere.
But we can certainly problem solve that. How does that then relate back to the iron play?
My weakness on my irons right now is that 120 to 160 gap. I have
Which covers what clubs?
For me, it's going to be gap up to about eight iron.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But my miss right now, I feel like with my irons specifically in that range is I just don't have that tight of a dispersion. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, and then that brings my short game into play when I'm spending more time getting up and down. If I have an 8 iron or down in my hand, I want to be relatively close and have a good look at birdie or at least par.
Yeah, as do I. That's a reasonable expectation, I think. Is there any short, long miss? Meaning, is there any contact, fat, thin that might result in?
I've been from 9 iron up to about 7. I've been hitting over the past month or so a few fat shots.
Okay, let me understand what's the current index, what's the scores you shoot, and where are you currently playing and practicing?
So right now I'm a 4. I have a goal right now as part of the index experiment with Broken Tee Society. I want to be at a 2 by the end of the year.
We're just going to take 2 shots away. That should be pretty easy.
No, I play. I'm born and raised in Houston. I live a few minutes away from Memorial Park course. I'm out there all the time. It's easy to walk. Big fan of Tom Doak. He redesigned it a few years back. But yeah, I try and get out and play as much as I can. So
outstanding. Volume of practice versus play. Do you practice a lot at the range? It's a beautiful range.
Yes, sir. It's a great range. I do not take advantage of it. I typically will go to the range right before a round, try and get there 45 minutes early. I've been trying to spend more time in the evenings after work, trying to balance more time on the range versus playing. But I just haven't made that commitment yet. It's tough. It's so attractive to go out and play 18 holes on the weekend, but not spend the time after work going to the range to improve my game. And I think just by being part of the index experiment with Broken Tee Society, I'm able to visualize that I'm not putting in enough effort each month to the range, and that's where I need to be spending more of my time. I can't expect lower scores if I'm not putting in the work.
Indeed. If I know anything about golfers, we're out there, we're struggling, we try and solve our own problems.
Yes, sir.
And so we audit, we inventory our head, the ideas to solve the high left or the fat or the short or the right.
Yes, sir.
Where have your ideas come from? Do you have any history of instruction? If so, from whom?
Yes, sir.
And what have you been working on most recently to try and solve the problems? Just to give me an understanding of where our starting point is.
Thinking about my swing and thinking back through a round and what my misses are keeps me up at night. I'm self-taught. I've never had any lessons growing up. I originally started playing baseball whenever I was a kid. I picked up golf, put a golf club in my hand when I was probably around 10 or 11 years old. So I'm really committed to trying to get better. It's just right now I feel like I'm perfecting certain things, whether it's the short game, whether it's the miss off the tee, whether it's that range we talked about on the iron side. Having your instruction, obviously, and being pleasure to or being fortunate enough to be with you today, I'm really excited. I haven't had a lesson in forever, so
awesome.
Looking forward to the experience for sure.
Let's get active. We're going to start low into the bag. We're going to go all the way up the bag. We're going to go pitching wedge, 8 iron, 6 iron. If you carry a 4 iron, we'll hit that. If not, it'll be a hybrid.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll ultimately get to driver. This first 3 to 7 minutes is going to be me observing a lot, asking a lot of questions again. I need to, in order to hit the ground running, and the final question's about to come, in order to hit the ground running, and then execute on your wishes to take those 2 strokes away in any way we possibly determine.
Yes, sir.
Get enough information to make sure that the choice that I'm making in terms of action plan to move forward is the right choice. So, what are those wishes? 1, 2, or 3? And then can you be just 1 if you want?
I'll probably go with 3.
Okay.
Let's go with 3.
3 wishes of what?
So I'm going to say, if you can help me remedy my miss off the tee, figure out why I'm spraying it left or I have that snap hook right. If I can figure out a way to get more comfortable when I have gap wedge to 8 iron. When I have that in my hands, if I can get more comfortable feeling like I'm going to put it on the green, and then it's just about getting in 1 stroke or 2 at that point.
Yep.
And then I'd say probably the third thing is more about my alignment.
Got it.
I feel like sometimes I get really forward heavy where most of my weight is on my toes. I want to be a little bit more balanced and try and be on the balls of my feet a little bit more, if that helps. Awesome. I know it's a lot to ask.
No. In fact, a lot of it will probably blend together into one entire piece of, okay, here's the coaching concepts that we're going to encourage you to employ as you move forward. So we'll leave the driver to last.
Okay, perfect.
Is that a type of miss that happens sometimes?
That was a little
seemed fat to me.
It's a little chunky, yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's thin.
How far does your pitching wedge travel in the air?
Well-struck pitching wedge, I'm probably 145.
Very good. We're going to graduate to the 8 iron now.
Okay.
Oh, we got it. Fantastic.
Thank you.
You see that ball launching right at target?
Dead right, yep.
And then moving even further right at
Yes,
target?
sir. Yep.
So we would call that what? What sort of shot would that be called? Is it safe to call it a pull draw?
Pull, yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Try again. Similar again, pull draw. You got some good speed. Get some good speed. That's a 120 or close to a 120 mile per hour 8 iron. When I'm looking at the players that I coach out on the PGA Tour, many of them are around 120 miles per hour on ball speed with 8 iron. So you've got a good engine is what I'm saying.
Can I get you to say that on camera?
I think I just did. I think I just did. Good flight there. Give me 2 more 8 irons, then we're going to graduate to 6 iron. You do a lot. Amazing. Particularly for a player that's self-taught. And distance with 8 iron here, it's typically what, in the 160,
if I hit on the screws, yes, sir, 160, 165.
Another nice one. You know those 3 wishes?
Yes, sir.
They're going to be easy. Is that the fat one?
A little bit.
Ish?
Yes, sir. Yep, just a tad.
Ideally, what sort of flight would you want to play? Draws or fades?
Oh, so I've been wanting to hit more of a fade. I feel like with the draw, though, I'm getting more distance, and I don't know if I necessarily need distance. I just need a little bit more control.
Yeah.
I feel like with the fade, if I could play a fade, I'm going to get a little bit more control than I would with the draw, because then my draw starts to amplify where it starts turning into more of a hook.
Yeah, got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nice one again. Further on that one.
Yes, sir.
131 ball speed.
That felt really good.
We're going to solve that.
Thin one.
We're going to have no problem solving that.
I don't mind jumping straight to driver if you want.
Let's jump straight to
I
driver.
got it ready. Let's do it.
Yeah. Grade that shot.
That's probably 8.5.
Yeah, I would call it a 9.
9.
If you hit every
Take
drive
that.
for the rest of your life like that. I think those 2 shots moving from 4 to 2 in the index experiment here would be pretty easy, wouldn't they?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Very nice. So far we got a very centered out contact pattern with the only problem shot, the low miss. And this low miss was certainly prevalent through the rest of the bag, through the iron range. Haven't seen anything out here, which would be the one thing I'm looking for, then would relate to the high left miss. Beautiful. Beautiful. When do you see the left missed most?
I'm still waiting for it to show up.
Yes, which is why I asked the question. In practice, is it rare?
It's
on the golf course?
Pretty,
is it more prevalent?
Okay. I have an exact example. So
Yeah.
I feel like it starts to show up probably towards the end of my round. And it's really odd. I feel like towards the back nine is when I start to have that leak where it's just a high left.
Yeah.
And I don't know what exactly causes it. If it's a number of things, if it's one simple thing that I'm just not thinking about.
Yeah, right. And the reason I asked this is if you hadn't given me the information on the front end that told me, hey, Cameron, look for these things. These are the problems I see in my game.
Yes, sir.
Then I wouldn't be trying to solve for a high left. I wouldn't be solving for a left miss at all.
Right.
With the understanding that you've given me, I would ideally like to hit a fade. What I'd be solving for is the fact that the ball's drawing.
Yes, sir.
And the fact that the ball's starting too far right of target.
Right.
The ball starting, or where the ball starts, is a function of where the face is aimed at impact.
Yes, sir.
Where the face is aimed at impact sometimes is a function of how you align,
Sure.
both your body and the club face. Yep. In this sense, you're not. You've got this structure right here. It's all fine.
Correct.
We're going to hit a couple of iron shots just out in the wild out here, and you're going to show me your alignment strategy so I can cancel that out as a possible cause of where the ball's launching and where it's curving.
Yes, sir.
But where the ball curves, in fact, let's go a different direction here. Let's flip the classroom around.
Okay.
Do you know why the ball curves? Assuming center contact, assuming you struck it right out of the middle of the face.
Is it about spin? Like
Yes.
where it's just like the
Yes.
direction, or maybe it's the impact?
A ball that has no curve on it
Yes, sir.
is spinning. Every ball is spinning. Even a putter has some spin on it.
Right.
A ball that curves is spinning around the axis that's horizontal to the ground. That's called the horizontal spin axis, right?
Yep.
So if my ball's curving to the right in the air, that spin axis is being tilted
Right.
this direction, curving to the left, tilted in the opposite direction. What creates that tilt, without it being affected by off-center strikes, is a difference between the direction the club head is moving. That's known as club path.
Yep.
So that's a direction indicated by the alignment rod on the ground that is further left than the alignment rods that tell us where our target line is. And the other factor there is where the club face is.
Yep.
And so if this club face is in a different angle or pointing in a different direction relative to the club head's movement, club path, face angle, we have curve.
Yes, sir.
And this relationship here, where the white stick is indicative of the club face and the blue stick is indicative of the club path, would create a on-target draw. Here's what you create. Club path
Yep. Makes
to
sense.
the right of target.
Yep.
Club face very, very softly, even further right of target. And so therefore your ball launches on the club face and then curves to the right after that. So that's what I would be solving for initially if I didn't know anything else about you. And quite honestly, I think the left miss, if it's not a left miss off the toe, which we haven't seen yet, but I'll be patient for, then it's only a left miss that's compensatory. It's like standing over it as a 4 handicap, or even standing over it as a 10 handicap, even standing over at players that might be a 15 or 18 handicap.
Sure.
We're in this error mitigation mindset sometimes.
Right.
I see a miss and I want the other to happen, just like your first 2 shots. I fat it, the next one was?
Yep. Thin.
Thin.
Right.
So I'm gonna kind of table looking and trying to solve for the left miss right now.
Okay.
And we're gonna start to talk about how you strike it more solid.
Okay.
And in striking it more solid, I think we change the relationship of face and path and start to launch them a bit straighter.
That sounds great.
Right.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my working theory.
Perfect.
But I reserve the right as a coach to always change that working theory.
Sure.
Knowing that we're running a science experiment here.
Right,
We're just
exactly.
dealing with probability,
Right.
not causality. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes the contact to the ground does strange things to the club head
Yes, sir.
as it's interacting with the ground.
Yep.
And on that occasion, that fat contact twisted the face open
Right.
and you got your left
There's
miss.
my left miss,
That
correct.
wasn't you aiming further to the left than you
Right.
needed to be.
Right.
We're going to shift target again.
Okay.
And feel free to show me however you would. There
Yes,
we
sir.
go.
Yep.
Approach from back there. Another blue flag to the right of the building.
Okay.
There is the one we need to fix.
That's the right miss.
Yeah. And that's coming down how many yards to the right of where you wanted it to?
Considerable amount.
Considerable amount. Perfect. Okay. So for starters, let's compliment you on what you do very, very successfully.
Yes, sir.
how you stand, how you hold it, and that stance is all encompassing. It's width of stance, it's ball position, it's grip orientation to body, it's body to golf ball. So all of that, none of it needs correction.
Okay.
Let me go to down target line. We're looking at 6 irons right now.
Yes, sir.
In terms of the postural setup here, this is the first point that then sits as not a red flag, but more of like a yellow flag or a yellow light that says this, there could be something here for us to adapt or work on, and it relates all the way back to impact. What impact are we trying to cancel out? The chance of it being fat.
Yes, sir.
And the chance of that face being too far right relative to the target line, which causes it to pull, draw,
Yeah,
right?
makes sense.
So before we get to what this is, I'm gonna go to the impact and what creates the impact that becomes problematic.
Okay.
So face on. Now I'm going to let you start to describe what you see as you get to end of backswing out of transition. What do you see there?
I feel like my right arm isn't fully extended out.
Yes.
It's very close to my head, my shoulders. I'm going...
Therefore it's past parallel?
Yes, sir, past parallel. I feel like I'm taking kind of a narrow swing path inside.
Take a look. So that's no.
Yep.
Because that swing path is not inside.
No.
When at that point in the swing, whatever you want to call that point in the swing, mid-downswing, the shaft is on top of that lead forearm or just on the inside of that lead forearm.
Yes, sir.
That would be a club path that is about to start to move a little bit more across the target to the right, which is not a bad thing for a fader.
Right.
So what I'm saying is how you're delivering the club when we look at it down target line is totally appropriate for fade.
Right.
Now, let me be the coach. You
Yes,
did
sir.
a really good job of at least picking out the key facet of the swing that we're going to target to try and solve the face to path problem and the contact problem. And here it is. So I think you lose width in your swing. In fact, I know we can see that happening. You identified it yourself. You picked out the right arm, but that lead arm there only bends as a function of your back arm, your trail arm, folding in and losing width. And we'll get to kind of some demonstration of this here in just a second.
Okay.
Now, the next problem that surfaces as a result of this is you're trying to get the club, because the club and your arm swung back further than they needed to, now you're trying to recover that position. Exactly. And that catch up is always recruiting movement through the hands to bring the club back around in front of you. So you are a moderate on the scale of people do things with levels of severity. You're a moderate caster of the club.
Okay.
And being a moderate caster of the club isn't necessarily a bad thing unless it surfaces at the bottom of the swing arc as fat contact and a face that shifts too far right. So what I mean by that is when we stop at lead arm parallel to the ground, you're starting to do two things. You're starting to move the shaft away from your back shoulder by moving your trail hand, your left hand, to push the club away. That's you trying to catch things back up.
Yes, sir.
As a result of that, your brain senses, I'm about to be too wide at the bottom, aka I'm about to hit the ground early.
Right.
And so your brain starts to narrow up your arm structure even more. You can see the bend in your lead arm increasing there, right? And so that's what we have to target. If I say this simply, we solve your fat by having more delay to your wrist release, which means we've got to modify the top of your swing, and we have to land the club later. Let me explain those two things, and then we'll get to action here.
Sounds good.
So if we can just loosely define this line on the ground as our finish line, or I like to call it the start of the runway.
Okay.
Any fat contact is your club touching the ground before it gets to the start of the runway.
Right.
If we can think of the club as the plane, the plane lands before the start of the runway, bad things happen, don't
Correct.
they?
Yes,
so
sir.
our objective is to land the plane later.
Okay.
Okay, this is beautiful. Since I'm right-handed and you're left-handed, we don't have to switch positions for you to be observer and I be demonstrator. So what we know about your swing right now is you stand to it beautifully. There's something from down target line that we're going to attend to as necessary. But at the top of the swing, our back arm, our trail arm bends. Bends a whole lot. Take a look at the behavior or the movement at my leader arm. And then in order to recover that position, your back or trail hand starts to push the club away from your shoulder. That gets you uber wide. I'm just going to, for the benefit of description, I'm going to exaggerate or amplify your error. And then from there, your elbow starts to bend in to try and narrow your swing arc so you don't grand out really early. That's your accommodation or strategy to get around it.
Right.
So what we need to have happen is we need our back arm to feel like it's far away from our back ear.
Okay.
And then we need to feel like at a transition, that shaft rests or moves closer to a back shoulder, such that if we do those two things correctly, we should start to see a club that touches down, a plane that hits the runway
that finished after
on the lead side. So an exercise that we do sometimes to bring more of this out is called linked divots, where I make a divot starting in front of the line some amount. My next divot, the objective is to start on my runway or on my scratched line and then land that club well out in front. And then for the purpose of exaggeration or emphasis, way out in front.
Way up front,
Now what I've done there, if we had live footage on that, I went shorter, I went more wrist delay, I didn't cast, I lagged it, would be the popular term. And those two things allow me to bring the handle further to my lead side before I began interacting or integrating that wrist release.
Okay.
You ready to get active?
Yes, sir, I think so. Let's do it.
Okay, what were you aware of? You landed the club beautifully, by the way. You landed it beautifully.
I think having that line there, in my mind, my focus was I have to get the club to make impact after this point.
Okay, and what were you aware of and feeling that caused that to happen?
I feel like, and without any video evidence just yet, I feel like I released the club a little bit quicker towards impact than I was previously. And it wasn't as close to my body. It was more extended out.
Interesting.
That's what it felt like.
Interesting. What piece was extended out? Because if I described anything, I described the shaft being closer to your body.
Yes, sir.
Right? Interesting, yeah.
It was a weird sensation.
Yep. Dry fire again, dry fire meaning without a golf ball.
Okay.
Pretty decent job. I'm not going to show you just yet.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of show you the finished product once it's a little bit further
that sounds
baked.
good. That
a little
works.
bit more baked.
That
Okay,
works.
take your stance.
Okay.
Make a backswing for me and stop. I'm going to be standing right here, so please don't make that downswing or bad things will happen.
Make sure not to.
Yeah, come on back. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to bring the swing back down, and I want you to push the handle away. Exactly. Resist my force. Fantastic. Good. Now we're going to make a downswing together, and we're going to feel the shaft move back close to your shoulder. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, that's a unique feeling.
Unique feeling. Let's see if we can use a little bit of it. So this next swing, Tristan, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see you stop at the top.
Okay.
I'd like to see you feel the width in the swing where this back arm is much straighter than collapsing towards.
Okay.
And then when I say swing, I want you to start the downswing feeling like the shaft is going to go back and touch your back shoulder.
Okay.
Okay? Here we go.
You got it.
Make a backswing when you're ready, when you're comfortable. Pause at the top. Give me more width. Push away. Just towards these back cameras. Fantastic. Okay, and swing. Tell me what you see here.
Arms extended.
There's more width.
Yes, sir.
Short of parallel.
Yep.
Transition. Nice. So, a critical frame to always stop at and assess how well you're integrating this is when your right arm, your lead arm, is roughly parallel to the ground.
Okay.
And what we'd like to see is that shaft angle is beyond the perpendicular, meaning it's narrow, it's closer to your lead shoulder. Typically the prototypical poster child for lag would be Sergio Garcia.
Okay, yes, sir.
And the only reason I bring that up is sometimes using a visual of someone you've seen time and time again on TV
Yes, sir.
can help pull out more of this, because your brain says, okay, I know what that looks like.
Yep.
Let me create the feel of that look. Give me
sir.
one more version of it,
Okay.
then we're gonna do the linked divot drill, and then we're gonna put a live golf ball in front of this.
Okay.
So this first step is the paused wrap. We're gonna hold the top.
Okay.
You're gonna move that shaft back to your back shoulder. Hold, go. Nice job. Cool. Now, this was the first divot you made, yes?
Yes, sir.
I want you to start here, and now I want you to land the club out here.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna link your second divot in front of your first divot.
Okay.
Fire away when you're ready. Nice job. Really nice job. Sometimes what helps this transfer into the actual live fire shot is looking some amount ahead of the golf ball, whether it's front edge or whether it's a ½ inch in front of the golf ball, causing you to land.
That's where I want impact
later
to be. Okay.
Well, that's where you want to feel like you're landing the club.
Yep.
Yeah. Your impact is going to be at the back edge of the golf ball, right?
Sure.
Good job. I was intent on watching you the entire time. I didn't see the golf shot. What happened?
It went right.
Okay.
But I feel like I didn't. I feel like I wasn't close enough. I didn't bring the club down, and I don't feel like my impact was very good either.
Take a look. This is where your divot started.
Yep.
Yeah. So to some extent, there was some effect.
Yes, sir.
From that move that you were working on.
Yep.
Same again. You ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Come on. Good. Push me away. Good. Lag. Nice, 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 nice. Outstanding. Okay. On your own now. Land that club. Target side of that line. Great job. Fabulous job. Tell me about that ball flight.
Ball flight was great.
It wasn't
It
hard right.
It didn't go dead to the right, no.
Good,
It went
good.
borderline straight and then just leaked a little bit left. It was more towards a fade.
Yeah, exactly. It's more towards the intent standing over it, right?
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to be playing fades. And there's evidence of success here. Mm-hmm. And so there's reading the tea leaves of feedback.
Yes, sir.
It's what did the ball do?
Right.
Right. That's knowledge of kind of the result of the shot.
Yep.
And then we have some knowledge back here as well. We've got, there's my scratch line. Mm-hmm. There's the divot. Mm-hmm. It started on the line. It's deeper than it typically is.
Sure.
Now, of course, yes, there's a 2 deep, but
Right.
this is a nice depth to the divot.
Right.
And then there's a direction to the divot that tells a story.
Right.
It doesn't tell you explicitly, I should say, the club path was traveling to the right of target, but it does have that indication that it's traveling to the right of target.
Sure.
The divot is the swing direction. It's what the arc looks like as it's traveling in the downswing relative to the target line. So it should always look like it's traveling some amount for you as a fader or with fade intent.
Yes, sir.
To the right of the target.
Okay.
That would mean that if you turned your intent to draw, that divot would have to straighten back out a little bit or even move a little bit more to the left.
Okay.
Right? So again, why we're having this conversation is reading the tea leaves of feedback. Mm-hmm. And the most important tea leaf for you to read is where the divot start.
Right.
What's that depth like?
Yes, sir.
Because the deeper the divot and where it starts are indicative of a couple of things happening. Mm-hmm. The location, width, lag, its depth. Oh my gosh, now you're not narrow with your arms.
Right.
You're coming into impact, and because you have this angle with the shaft that's back towards our shoulder lagged, your arms can now extend and really get that club pressing down into the golf ball.
Right.
And therefore into the ground, and your compression's gonna go up.
Yes, sir.
Cool?
Yep.
So this thing I just grabbed out of my bag.
Okay.
We'll call it a tool. Mm-hmm. So tools can help us learn the motion, integrate the motion, and drills can. So we're going to talk about this being the tool, how we're going to use this. I'm going to leave you with this because it's a simple piece of TheraBand, like exercise band you can find in a gym.
Yep.
How you're going to use it is you're going to put it underneath your lead foot.
Okay.
You're going to wrap it underneath the grip. And so the grip, let me demonstrate right-handed, is going to sit up on top of it.
Okay.
There needs to be plenty of slack in it at the start. Where the stretch kicks in is right about here, and that's the sense for the end of your backswing.
Okay.
When that stretch kicks in.
Okay.
It could be helpful, and it would be helpful if you're stretching even more of the band away from your back shoulder. That straightens out your back arm. Mm-hmm. And then, just as a downswing rehearsal, it creates slack by moving the handle forward as that shaft comes back towards our back shoulder. It's just a practice exercise. You're not going to hit shots this.
So will it be a very abbreviated backswing?
It'll be very abbreviated. Yeah, we're just going to exaggerate the sensation for it. And now make a backswing very, very slowly, and you'll start to feel the tension kick in, probably mid-backswing, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now straighten out that back arm even more. Fantastic. And now create me a downswing where the handle comes in towards the midline of your body. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. But those wrists allow that shaft to come back towards your shoulder.
Yep.
Okay, do that again.
Okay.
Show me tension, push away, and now show me slack. Exactly. Straighten this lead arm. Beautiful. That's it.
Okay.
Again, tension to slack. Outstanding. Again, tension to slack. Beautiful. Okay. Now you can release the TheraBand.
Okay.
Fantastic. And now we're going to do an exercise which builds on that sensation.
Yes, sir.
This exercise is called break back.
Okay.
Okay. We start straight, right? What
Okay.
is straight? Both arms.
Yep.
And then the shaft extending out from my lead arm.
Okay.
Then once we get to there, we start the swing, breaking the shaft back towards your back shoulder. You see that?
Yep.
Straight,
Okay.
break it back towards your back. Oh gosh, we need to get that one on camera. My goodness. Break back. Outstanding. Break back drill. Break back. Take a look at this. You can impress yourself. This is gonna be wow.
Straight, yep.
We got lots of extension, that back arm. Now watch the wrists. See that?
Yep.
That's the feel and transition that we need to use in our wrist.
Okay.
Take a look at what it looked like coming into impact here. Look how straight you are.
Yeah, it is pretty straight.
Look at that extension. Look at the handle lead at that phase of the swing.
Yes, sir.
That is just slightly pre-impact. Well done. Drill, then shot. Drill, then shot. We're going to alternate. Okay. Pause in the backswing, straight. Break back. Great job. Okay, live fire. Continuous swing.
Ooh.
Okay, what did the feedback tell us?
Impact way before the ball.
Okay, we are
Huge
how far
chunk.
before the ball?
A few inches.
4 inches.
Yeah.
4 inches.
Yes, sir.
What's the likely culprit there?
I didn't bring my arms back towards my arm wasn't straight at impact.
No,
perhaps?
no. In fact, the depth of the divot tells us that your arms were straighter at impact.
Oh, okay.
Right? But the
Yep.
reason you landed the club early before the start of the runway was because you didn't create the narrowing at the shaft.
Okay, makes
Okay?
sense. Yes, sir.
Go.
Yep.
Break back. So on that swing there, you had arm extension, but you didn't break that shaft back towards your shoulder. Great job. That time you did. Even if it's a miss, try and do more of it versus less. Great job. Now read the feedback. Divot location,
ahead.
perfect.
Yes,
Divot
sir.
depth, perfect.
Yep.
Face to path, what did it do? Again, I was watching you, not the golf ball.
It was pretty dead straight at
Yeah.
that shed. Yes,
Nice
sir.
job, well done. We're gonna go to the second drill that I
Okay.
wanted to do with you.
Okay.
This is already pre-planned in my head.
Yep.
And it's working on impact, and that happens before us, this extension and lag piece, but reversing it. So we're gonna actually start forward.
Okay.
Right, so take a stance on that line.
Yep.
I'm gonna show you the feeling in the early follow through that we're gonna start from.
Okay.
Come forward, come forward, come forward, come forward. Now relax your elbow, beautiful, relax your wrist.
Okay.
Okay. What sort of shot might that produce if that's the feeling post-impact?
I feel like it's going to be relatively low.
Relatively low and left.
Yes, sir.
Low
Yeah,
left,
low
beautiful. Okay. Now I want you to create a little backswing
Okay.
and find that same follow-through position.
Okay.
Little backswing, find that same follow-through position. That's a big backswing, by the way. It's okay though. Nice. Nice. Now I'm going to guide it here. Are you ready? Yep. Get what I did?
Yep.
Yep, beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Hold. Okay, by yourself.
Okay.
Great job. Great job. Can we hit one, or at least can we attempt to hit one at that pace?
I think we can give it a shot.
Yeah, it's going to go low and maybe just over the end of the tee box here.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Okay.
So we're going to minimize the swing and slow the swing down
Okay.
to hopefully get more of the effect we're looking for, width, narrow, punch.
Okay.
Ah, amazing. Amazing. Do you want to swing a full one now?
I think we can go for it.
Let's try
Let's
it.
give it a shot.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's give a full one a shot. Nice, really nice. That's the ball flight.
There's a little
Launch.
fade on it too.
It'll fade, exactly. Launched online or slightly to the right and then
noticed
bled
my
back to
divot
the left.
too.
Exactly, forward of the
Front
target.
of the line. Yes, sir.
Let's talk about objectives
Yes,
at
sir.
the front end.
Yep.
Let's talk about the course that's led us to this point in time.
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna have to help me out because I just turned 50, my memory's fading.
Oh, you're fine. You're
right.
fine. Yes, sir.
Left miss with the driver.
Right.
We actually canceled that one out as a
I
possible.
think it was rogue today.
Yeah, we think that was more compensatory than it was anything else,
Yes,
right?
sir.
You hit it left only to try and not hit it right.
Correct.
And so then it became an issue of what do we see with the irons as we were warming up? Tendency for fat contact, then a counter tendency that secondary error from narrowing your arms in that meant it was thin.
Yep.
So can we strike irons more solid? That gives us more comfort standing over your second objective, wish list, which is from gap wedge to 8-iron, can I be more deadly?
Yes, sir.
You can be more deadly by having better face-to-path control to hit your fade as you intend.
Yep.
And making certain that the contact you're making is always on point.
Right.
Or if anything, it's slightly thin, we'll take that, but we'll never take fat.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And then that last objective was, hey, is my setup okay, right? I made one comment preliminarily thinking that I would hold it as like a card in my, pull it out and say, let's do this one.
Yes, sir.
It proved not necessary.
Okay.
It proved not necessary to create some more space away to take away the fat contact.
Right.
So that's why we didn't address that one. So how you stand to it currently is polished, it's clean, it's sufficient to hit really good iron shots and really good drives.
Yes, sir.
So to the extent that I'll send you the videos that they serve as your template for stance,
Sounds great.
both from down target line and face on, that should be enough to allow you to continue to wash, rinse, and repeat on that template.
Yes, sir.
So how do we get to here in terms of what are the takeaways in learning? And this is where I turn the tables on you and ask for 3 things. I need you to describe what it is that we did, why it is that we did it, and it needs to relate to what I was just describing.
Sure.
All contact, all direction. And I'm going to jump in to just kind of,
of course,
help as necessary. So I'm student, you're teacher. What do we do?
So I feel like first we addressed my current swing and the state that it's in, and then really tried to hone in on certain mechanics and aspects of my swing that I can't just see by myself whenever I just go to the range, because since I haven't had any lessons prior. So I think the first thing and the biggest takeaway for me is, even though it is a foreign feeling, me having the same swing and just continuing to repeat the same processes over and over and over, I think the biggest hurdle for me, or the most exciting thing about it, is now that I've understood what was wrong, putting in the work to try and fix it. So I think the biggest thing for me is, and this is something I feel like I can even just practice at home and not even necessarily go to the range, like something in the living room, I'll just pick up a club. So what we did was we focused mainly on the extension right here.
Good.
Getting my right arm a little bit more straighter.
Extended,
Extended, yes, sir, and feeling like I'm pushing out more. So
with
I'm
your
pushing
back arm?
Yes, sir.
Yep, we got a left arm sensation.
And then I feel like on my follow through or my downswing, I'm pulling the club more. So I feel like the butt of the club I'm pulling more back into me, and I'm getting a little bit more. I might be getting a little bit more narrow in some aspects.
If you're narrow at all, it would be narrow through the wrists.
Correct.
Moving
Yes, sir.
the shaft back towards your shoulder.
Yes,
or
sir.
lag.
So it's a sensation of whenever the club is coming down towards impact, I'm pulling it back into me rather than having my body try and catch up.
Yeah.
And then it's really about, at the time of impact, I'm going to be looking now with your help. I feel like having that line, I mean, it'd be great to just draw a line down behind my ball at any point on the course. But I can't do that, obviously. But I think what I'm going to be focused on, I'm going to have that mental image of the line in my head. And then I want my divot to start just a couple of inches in front of the ball.
Good, beautiful.
And then through impact, what I feel like is, so whenever I extend out and I come back through, pulling the club into me, the sensation of, it's not necessarily, you alluded to, like Tiger's stinger shot, where I'm kind of just holding the face, or I'm holding my club out. In this kind of motion, it's tough to describe. But I feel like what that's going to allow me to do is, it's not going to start the ball immediately to the right.
Fantastic. There you go.
And then I can always look back at the divot to make sure that, like, the story matches what the ball's actually doing.
Precisely. Yeah. So how do we solve the right? We make sure the face isn't far to the right of impact.
Yep.
How do we do that in conjunction, like a 2-for-1, 2 birds, 1 stone? How do we also solve for the potential for fat contact? We make sure that we're not uber wide coming out of the top. We're narrow, therefore the club is landing late, and therefore the face hasn't passed underneath the handle per se, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good. Now that was the description piece. Which is just, does the information sit in your head that you can then recall at the next opportunity? You drive home, I want to practice, I'm eager, you're going to pull it out. Now you got to demonstrate it, and then you have to perform it. Demonstration is dry fire, no golf ball in the way. You can demonstrate it any way you want, slow, methodical. You could demonstrate the drill. You've already given us the demonstration, but I want to see for the purposes of the camera again, the demonstration. No golf ball.
Okay, no golf
That'll
ball.
be performed. That's the last step. Describe, you did it, demonstrate now, and then we'll perform it.
Okay.
Good. Outstanding, outstanding. That's the demonstration. All qualities were there. The quality of left arm extended in backswing, trigger delay, adding some lag in the downswing, and then that extended, de-lofted feel through impact. And now perform it.
Okay.
Great job. Outstanding. Outstanding. I can't tell you how much fun I had. The last thing that I would leave you with before we open it up for questions, my last comment I should say, is be patient.
Yes, sir.
Allow yourself a fairly long runway, to going back to the plane landing analogy, and that runway this time is metaphorically time. Several practice sessions before you expect this to show up, to have it on repeat, because you're facing right now this conflict between what you were doing, normal, and the new normal.
Yes,
And that new normal is different. It's a feeling that you need to lean into. Know that when you're practicing off grass, the feedback is the divot location and the divot depth. Its location tells us how long we were narrow. Its depth tells us how much extension that we had.
Yes, sir.
The feedback is also in the ball flight.
Correct.
The absence of any right launching draws tells you you're doing a good job.
Yes, sir.
Cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Questions? Or comments?
No, I'd say this has been incredibly beneficial. I can't thank you enough. It's a pleasure meeting you and having the opportunity to meet you. I feel like what I talked about at the very beginning, I need to spend more time at the range. And I feel like if I take this immediately, like what you were saying, and going straight to the course, I'm going to look pretty, it's going to be embarrassing out there, because I'm trying to correct the issues that I have while I'm working on my game and playing like a full round. So I think I need to dedicate more time to the range. And then it could be as simple as like what you're talking about with the TheraBand, doing some exercises like that at home. And then also even like setting up a camera while I'm at the range to visualize it, to see if I am making progress and I'm not regressing back into those same types of patterns that I had before.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, sir.
Tools, feedback, video camera, mirror at home, that work will aid and abet your development.
Yes, sir.
Understanding, I'll just reiterate the same point that you just made, that the practice area is the place to construct, to build new skills.
Yes, sir.
And the golf course is merely a testing area, proving ground to translate those skills back out there.
Absolutely.
So spend enough time digging it out of the dirt, as Hogan said.
Yes, sir.
And then sure enough, that 4 will become 2, or that 2 will become 0. There's far more solid strikes with your irons in play in the immediate future.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it. Thanks again, sir.
Yeah,
Pleasure to meet you.
Yep.
It's a blast.